Hi there, welcome to the Mountain of God. My name is Camille. Today is 8th of May 2021, and welcome to video number 18. Today I want to go deeper into talking about your dreams and your passions, because I still got this feeling that without talking about it more, some of you will feel the blockage. Some of you will just basically have really hard time allowing yourself to move past that point. So you gotta allow yourself to pursue what you dream of. Maybe there might be tons of different reasons, but one of them may be that you were raised in a really traditional Christianity when unfortunately many of the churches preach this kind of, maybe not directly, but somehow you end up being a person who feels that every unique characteristic of your own is supposed to be kind of given to God, whatever that means, and being under like a supervision, and everybody basically is afraid to have anything of their own. Many people are afraid to follow that, and I want to give you a few reasons that you might want to rethink that, because maybe it's kind of the opposite. So listen, first thing that I'm gonna be talking about over and over again. You can just take it as it is. That I'm not gonna stop. That the first thing is that God doesn't make mistakes. He is not someone who had a bad day and created you by mistake. It's said that he created you and molded you before laying foundation for this world. So do you really think that something that happens, something that it becomes part of you, some dreams and passions that you have, that they're by mistake? Do you really think that this was it just happened, we'll have to figure it out somehow? No, everything that he does, it is really well thought through. Everything that he does makes sense, has its reason, and has its goal. And you've got to understand that so many things in us that we say that, I was born with it. It might be true, it might not, because some of the things are just something that we really were born with. Maybe, I don't know, maybe your passion to sports rather than philosophy. That's something that is your characteristic. But there are things that you learn, something that you can take from environment, like your tendency to be obese, your tendency to be aggressive. Because something that you experience, it might change the basic characteristics of you as a person that you were as a child, because you try to adapt to whatever you face in your life. But even those things, I would say, you've got to think that God never loses control. Everything is according to his plan, and if he allowed something to happen to you, it means that there was a reason and there's a plan. There's a goal that he will want to achieve by putting you through this. So that's why, point number 2, I want you to look at everything that happened in your life as something that was put there for a reason. And these things might be great, passions, your dreams, something that you're fascinated about, or something that happened to you, something that kind of altered your way of looking at world and even acting. If that was put there for a reason, then it might be a really good idea to take a look at this and really ask him, okay, why this thing happened? Just like, why would I... What do we want me to take from this experience, let's say? How do you want me to understand this story from my childhood? How do you want me to use, or how do you want to use in my life this passion of mine, which is completely outside of the scope of environment that I grew up in? And you see, there are some things that you're supposed to just follow. Some dreams, some passions, which are just there, and they're socially acceptable and and you know that it's good. Like, nobody ever questions your dream to become a doctor. Nobody questions your dream to become firefighter or lawyer. Even though, if you look close enough, it doesn't, the fact that you want this doesn't really matter, that you've got a good motives. Because maybe you want to be a fireman because you're a pyromaniac. But because society just kind of gives themselves excuses or explanations that it has to be your moral ground or moral need to help others, and they kind of explain it to themselves. So that's why we say, "Yo, fireman, that's a good idea." It's like a morally high ground, but doesn't have to be. But let's say let's keep it easy. There are things that you know that they're good. You know that you're supposed to follow them. But there are things that are surprisingly strange. There are things that you might want to do and you don't really know why. And how is that supposed to help you with anything? And let me tell you an example. One of the things that I've discovered is that I really loved photography. I don't know why. And I was fascinated with this to the degree that I bought a camera years ago. And since then, maybe not obsessively, but I spent tons of hours making tons of photos, photo shoots. I've been in tons of parties when I just took my camera and just shoot great photos. And even I've been on one wedding, and the couple that got married told me that they said that they regret paying for the photographer because my photos was better than the photographer's ones. And I'm not saying that to brag, but it's just showing how I'm having fun with it, because I don't do this professionally, meaning that I did, but I don't really take cash for it. I don't earn money from this. But because I have so much fun, I was able to kind of really become good at it. And then when I start working with people like one-to-one, it started to surprise me, because being child of a Christian or Baptist pastor, always seeing myself in some form of service or I don't know, having a mission in life, in church or for the church or in God's field, I thought to myself, why would I be so fascinated with photography and portrait photography to be correct, to be more detailed? And then I started to think about it, and one of the things that happened that kind of helped me understand is that there's more, that the photography is just a way of me doing what I was already fascinated by. Why? Because first time that I took my camera, it was like few months after I bought it. I took it for a first integration event in my company, and I just started shooting photos. Automatically I would go for portrait photography. And one of my friends, I was making photos of people, and she was observing me, and she after a few hours of me doing photos, she just commented and said, "You really like to observe people, do you?" And it was a compliment, but then it opened my eyes, and I really do, and it had to be in me, because the camera is just a way of doing that. And interestingly enough, when I really try to understand how and why would God put this thing in me, why would that even matter, two things kind of popped up, and now I understand how He uses it. First of all, by observing people and by even working with them one-on-one, because it's a little bit different than working with groups, like making photos on a wedding or something. When you work one-on-one, and especially the type of photography that I do, which is portrait photography, which even more, I try to concentrate on their emotions and face expressions. So to achieve that, I have to have a deep contact with the person, and I have to learn how to communicate with them, to draw the emotions, the thoughts in their heads. I basically learn how to read people and interact with them to get a very specific emotions that I want on their face. And interestingly enough, it helped me to become very observant, because as many photographers will tell you, and that's probably not only in photography, once you understand it, once you find yourself being fluent in it, you cannot turn it off. That's why now, if I don't have a camera in my hand, I was able to walk amongst my friends, and I'm so observant that I can see through the whole room that there's at the end of the other side of the room, there's my friend, and I can see that something is not okay with her or with him. And because I learned how to use that in social interactions, now I'm boldly, and I think I become good to read when I can talk, when I just shouldn't, just by observing people. But it helped me to be bold enough to, with many of them, had really deep conversations and deep relationship, just because I become observant. And on top of this, something that God told me years ago, he said, I want you to learn how to bless people. So I basically did. And in putting this everything together, you can see that something which is kind of strange. Why would I be interested in photography when I really wanted to serve people in church, or with exactly what I'm doing here? But then it showed me that by really spending time to think why one of my passions, which is just a hobby of mine, how this can be used, and why God would put something like this in me. Now I can understand that I can read people. I have courage to talk to people. I have courage to help them if I can. And I've learned how to bless them. Just because I don't need even, many times I don't even need a word of wisdom or prophecy to see that something is wrong. And I don't need to prophesy, even though it happened. I don't need to prophesy over them. I just go and ask them. And I can read them like an open book. And then I can bless them. And so many people, they don't even know. When I photographed them, I learned about them. And then they're in my heart. Because we've been, I don't know, I've been able to be close with them enough. So I would really start to care for them. And then I just bless them. So you see, that's why I want you to understand that something which is completely hard to understand, why would I be fascinated or passionate about? It might be used mightily by God for you to do something in your life. And obviously there are things which are much darker, needs or wants or fantasies. You want to ask yourself why they're there. And one of the pastors that I met years ago, Piotr, he said something amazing, because he said, if you see that something is pulling you and you know that it might be bad, or you know right there on the spot that it's gonna eat you alive, you want to face it rather than run away from it. Because if you're gonna run away, it's gonna catch you and it's gonna hunt you down. And it was interesting to hear, because then I start thinking about it, and then I can see that there are things in us which are saying even more about you than the positive things. Because look, if you're a guy, and let's say you are really close to hurting someone, because you've got a need inside for you to like really take physical advantage over people. Maybe you want to be an MMA fighter. Maybe you really think about going to war. Or maybe on the other spectrum, maybe you're this close of cheating on your wife because you just want to be close with other women. Ask yourself, why would that happen? Because one of the major rules in this particular area is that whatever sparks your emotional reaction, it means that it means something to you. It's important. So if you know that, you can kind of sit down, look, and talk to your God. And again, and again, and again, you have to be close to your Father to be able to talk about things like this, because you want to be able to learn. And maybe you want to really, you feel this need to be aggressive because let's maybe for all your life you've been basically beaten, and you need to feel that there's something in you that you can be good at, and it just expresses itself in your aggression. Maybe you've never been close with anyone else, and now when the whole sexuality was open in you, now you just want to take as much as you can. Or maybe you're just saying that your marriage is failing. Again, emotional reaction, something that you feel as a passion or need of yours, but it then says a lot about you. And if you understand, if you sit down and really spend some time to think about it, it can show you how to fix your life. What are the things that you're supposed to follow? Maybe there are things that are crazy, which maybe you don't see how they might be used, that you might be surprised. And that's a great segue to point number 3. You've got to understand that if you've been created in a whole set of passions or dreams or really interesting fascinations in your life, you've got to understand that there is a reason for your existence, not only here on this planet, but also in the spiritual realm. Because if what God said is true, that nothing really ever ends, then our calling is not only for this next few years that are going to be on this planet, but also in whatever this game is going to turn into when we're going to go towards, or be lifted up in this to the spiritual realm. So that's why all those little things that you can learn about yourself, which are your unique characteristics, the more you learn about yourself, the better you will be to fulfill your calling here and there. So that's why, again, I want you to look at your life and your uniqueness and everything, good or bad or strange in you, as something that was created and put there for a reason. Nothing fell out of control. No, God exactly knew why he wanted this thing happen in your life or be part of you. You've got to learn what to do with it. If there's something that is good and you're supposed to pursue and follow, you can go really far in this, and God will show you things that maybe not many people see, and even less will be able to be fluent and good at it. So maybe that's the thing that you're going to be used in. Maybe there are a lot of things like side passions and hobbies that if you look at them close enough, they'll tell you how amazing your God created you. You're not just this plain personality. There are so many things interconnected some way, somehow, that will make you a better human, and that will make you a better child of God in whatever you're supposed to accomplish. And at the end of the day, the cumulative change that all of this will bring to you, if you really rethink it and really give yourself time and to think for yourself and to talk to your God about it, the end result, the person that you'll become after going through all of this, would be perfect to complete the tasks or the task that it was put in front of you and you'll be asked to accomplish. So listen, this is what I want you to think. This is what I want you to take from this video. Your uniqueness is not a mistake. Your passions, your dreams, your need and wants, they are there for a reason. So give yourself permission and spend enough time with thinking about it yourself and talking about it with your Father, so you would understand the depth and the wisdom behind putting this whole thing in your life, so you could really become much better, much more impressive person as a person, and become fluent and sufficient, and maybe even more, to complete and fulfill your calling here on this planet and whatever is waiting for us there. So think about it and do something about it, because you might be surprised what God sees in you and the potential that He put in you and wants you to have courage to reach for. If you like this video, like, share, comment. If you didn't, comment as well. Tell me what you think and what is your experience. And if there's anything you want me to talk about, just give me a shout. I'll be glad to do it for you. That being said, see you tomorrow.